you hate the thought of working past 55 or 60? Do you hate not being able to live the life you deserve today? Do you hate not knowing what your financial future looks like? It's time to stop doing what you hate. Here's your host, Mr. Harold Green.
Aloha, everybody. This is Harold Green of Bright Tree Financial Group, man, and it is time to stop doing what you hate. It is a very beautiful day here on the island of Oahu in the state of Hawaii. I'm just sitting out here at the beach enjoying the scenery, enjoying the waves, just kind of taking this all in preparation of today's show. And boy, I am super excited to be sharing with you today's show because I believe it's going to sum up every single thing I've been talking about over the last few weeks. And without this one thing, you're never going to be able to get anywhere substantial in life. And I'm going to tell you what the title of the show is. It's time to write the check. That's right. It's time to write the check. And so, boy, I tell you, I've been thinking about this a lot. And this is the last segment of the ambition series. And we've been talking quite a bit about ambition and the different things that are kind of tied into ambition and, what ambition really means. It's basically what motivates you, what is driving you to strive, what is driving you to achieve, what is driving you to accomplish everything that you have been placed here on earth to accomplish. I know this is a financial show and, it's called It's Time to Stop Doing What You Hate. And everything I share in these shows basically will help you stop doing the things that you hate. These are ideas that will help you stop putting up with things that you are absolutely sick and tired of dealing with. These ideas will help you get to the next level so that you don't have to live a mediocre life. This will help you get in the top 10% of people with wealth in the country, the top 5%. Eventually, you'll end up in the top 1%. And so I want to get at this today and hang on, buckle up, get a notepad, sit down in a quiet place, whatever it takes, and let's do this, all right? 1, 2, 3, let's get it. It is time to write the check. And this is interesting because I want to talk to you about a process that I had developed and kind of fine-tuned some time ago in regards to the conversation of what happens when people come in and sit down and talk to me. And they come in and they share with me their situation and they share with me the things that are going on in their life. And I ask them a buttload of questions. And the first thing I tell them is every question that I ask you serves a purpose. It is not meant to offend you or to harm you in any way. But this is probably going to be one of the most challenging conversations you've probably ever had with anybody. And I'm going to be asking you things that you probably have never heard asked of you before. So is that okay with you? And they all say, yep. And I tell you straight up, there's a box of tissue in my office because as we begin to peel back the onion and we begin to ask the questions of why are you in this situation or what led to you getting into this situation that you find yourself in? What are all the things that led up to this? And there's probably a ton more questions that I ask before I get to that. But I just go through a period of Q&A and just hearing them out, letting them talk about their situation. And I remember so many times, so many people have told me, the fact that they were taken advantage of by somebody that they trust, a family member, a friend. They trusted them. They promised them all these different things. And so they open up their hearts. They open up their wallets and they said, I'm going to trust you with this because I believe in what I'm hearing. And it turned out to be one of the worst decisions they had ever made financially in their lives. And then they find themselves in front of me in my office again, facing the same challenges that they had paid somebody to help them fix from the very beginning, and it did not work. And it's sad. And I sympathize with them, and I told them, I'm sorry for what you've gone through. I will do my absolute best in order to make the situation 10 times better. And I'm going to make you feel like you've never even went through that before. I'm going to make that struggle you went through like it never happened. And I've been able to do that for a lot of people time and time and time again. But this is where the rubber is going to meet the road. I share with them, they share with me, and basically I run their numbers. I go in my office, I run their numbers, close the door, I come back in, I sit down with them, and I begin to share with them. I begin to break down with them. Okay, this is where you are, Mr. and Mrs. Jones. And a lot of times, we're trying to help them figure out how to pay for college and how to pay for different things. And I always like to ask the question, if you never met me, how would you have solved this challenge? And they'll say, well, that's what I'm here for. Harold, that's why we're sitting here talking to you, because we're hoping you can fix this problem for us. And I said, no, we're not going to go there. If you never met me, had I never did a show, had I never did a workshop, had I never run an ad, had I never sent you a postcard, had I never sent you a flyer, Mr. and Mrs. Jones, how would you have solved this problem? And they look at me and they say, well, we would have did this. So I get up there and on my chalkboard, I start writing it down. We would have done this. We would have done that. We would have done this. And I'll ask them, well, if you do all of these things according to these goals over here that you have, you would be so far off target, you're never going to be able to accomplish the things that you want to accomplish in life. So what do you suppose we do about it? And then I began to tell them, Mr. and Mrs. Jones, here's what I can do for you. Here's what we're going to do together. We're a team. We're going to do this. We're going to fix this. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. We are a team. And I asked them the question. So here's what I charge. How do you want to pay? After I've gone through all of these different things, went through all of these questions, it is now time to write the check. Outline the process of how my program works. Outline the process of what we do for college funding. Outline the process of the Rapid Retire program. How we're going to get you in position to retire 7 to 10 years sooner than you normally would. Here's my fee. How would you like to pay? Cash, charge, or check? And they look at each other, and then I leave the room. I leave and give them a chance to figure out whether or not this is right for them, whether or not I am their guide to take them from where they are to where they want to be. It is time to write the check. 5 minutes go by, I come back in. So how do you folks want to pay? And a lot of times what people will tell me is they will give me a credit card. And here's what I'm getting at. When I use the phrase, it's time to write the check, what I really mean is it's time to commit. You're not fully committed unless you've decided to go all in, right? And one of the things I tell people is if you don't like me and what I'm doing, if you don't believe in what I'm doing, once you're on board and you don't like what I'm doing, then you can quit. You can fire me. Sometimes I'll have a money back guarantee depending on what we're doing. But if it's inside the Rapid Retire program, it's a process. And a lot of times you have to commit to a process. And a lot of times people are not willing to commit to a process because the process is hard. And I had to really challenge myself in doing this show and really think about whether or not am I being a hypocrite and just saying all these things to people because I think this is what people want to hear. Am I even living the stuff that I'm telling you guys myself? It took me a little bit of time, right, to go through my process to figure out, okay, are you ready to deliver the show? Can you deliver the show in good faith without being a hypocrite, right? Having internal struggle. Oh, I shouldn't have said that. I'm not even doing that myself. No. The reason why is because I've written the check. I've committed to the process of serving my clients. I've committed to the process of making sure I'm there for them. And a lot of times, people will come here to Hawaii, business owners, they'll come here, they'll try to open up shop. They see how beautiful it is and they figure, yeah, if these guys can do it, I can do it. And then boom, next thing you know, they get a handful of clients and they start doing okay, but then it's not, what they really want. And then they take off, they bail on the people over here. They take off and they go back to the mainland, to Texas, Arizona, or wherever, because they're complaining about the cost of living. They're complaining about the gallon of milk. They're complaining about the electricity cost, the airline ticket cost. They're complaining about a lot of different things because they haven't really committed to doing the things that they said they would do for people. And of course, this is a two-way street. And a lot of times I get people to come on board and they're not fully committed, right? And as a matter of fact, my assistant and I, my client concierge, we're going through our whole entire client database and we're looking to see who's really committed to the program. And we're going to have some extra things for those folks coming up down the road, right? I can't get into it right now. We're delivering new services. We're creating new services for them. We're adding new things for them to make their lives easier, right? So they don't have to worry about certain things or stress out about certain things. We're going to take these relationships, these clients to a different level because they are committed. And that's one of the things that I talked about 2 to 3 years ago at my last client event, my last client appreciation event. The theme of it was all in, right? We are all in. And until you go all in, you're not going to see the results that you want. People will come in and they'll start working with me and then they'll start like trying to pick apart different things and they'll say, yeah, I like this idea, Harold, but I don't want to do that. Well, it's like, okay, great. I understand that. But eventually what has to happen is I have to get them to understand why this part of the program is such a vital thing. A lot of times it comes down to, like, say, the life insurance part of it. And people say, well, I was told not to buy life insurance, but to buy term and invest the rest and to do this and to do that. And I say, yeah, I understand what you were told. I said, but here's the deal. We are talking about creating generational wealth here. We're not talking about just getting you to retirement and getting you to retire early. It's a lot deeper than that. We're talking about generational wealth. We're talking about the rich gets richer kind of thing. We're not talking about, okay, just enough for me to get done with the retirement, to get done with work early, retire, sit on the beach, sip some Mai Tais, go to Vegas and, gamble or do all these different. No, we're talking about creating generational wealth. And so in that, there's a lot that goes into that. Setting up the trust, setting up all of these other different aspects of your financial plan, and then eventually bringing your kids on board and helping get them educated in terms of what you are doing, why we're building all of this wealth. And a lot of times people sell their kids short. They say, well, I don't want to tell my kids all that because they're just going to be waiting on me to die and get my money. And then they're not going to do anything with their life. And I said, well, this is why you need to begin to work with them when they're young and coach them and train them and teach them. And a lot of times people simply are not interested in finances. And here's the reason why a lot of people are not interested in finances. It all starts with our education system. They're not educating our kids on this part of it, which I think they should. If they stick to the 1 + 1 = 2 and not all this other bullcrap that they're trying to shove down our kids' throat, our country would be in a much better place. And our kids would be able to not be afraid of finances, right? Not be afraid to invest money, not be afraid to take on new challenges and different things like that, right? Why? Because I don't think they're fully committed to educating our kids in order to create a better society. I'm not talking about the teachers themselves. Don't get me wrong. I have a lot of great teachers that are clients. Do not get me wrong. It is not a teachers, right? It's not them. They're being mandated in terms of what they have to teach and what they have to do, right? And so they love what they do. They love their kids. And so they do their best, right? They commit to it, all right? However, we have to begin to educate our kids. We got to commit to the entire process, not just for ourselves, but them too. But commitment is a very big deal. It is the number one ingredient that will help steer and drive your ambition. And it's very important because if you commit to the wrong things, you're going to get wrong results, right? Proverbs talks about that, right? Chasing after foolish pursuits. Okay, spending your time doing foolish things, right? You have to think about what you are committed to. And a lot of times people commit to things, they don't work. But yet it sounds good. It sounds good. It looks good. Everybody's doing it. So they commit and then they don't get the results that they want because they committed to the wrong things. A lot of times people are committed to the wrong people. I see this a lot. People will come in and they're working with other advisors and, why are you working with this person? Well, because we go to church together. Well, because, they're so-and-so's brother or sister and I don't want to mess up the relationship. I understand all that, but you're not getting the results that you want. You're committed to the wrong process. You're committed to the wrong people. And guess what? You're going to get the wrong results. You're not going to get what you desire to get. It is time to write the check, but you got to make sure you're writing the check to the right people. And if you and I are not working together, I want you to get on my schedule and talk to me a little bit. And then I'm going to take you through the process that I normally take Mr. and Mrs. Jones through. We're going to go through all of your stuff. And I'm going to ask you a gazillion questions about your stuff, your goals, and what it is that you are trying to accomplish. And then I'm going to see if there's anything I can do, right? If my program and my process is right for you. And then I'm going to ask you to make a commitment to getting it done. So click in the show notes, click on my calendar. I'd love to chat with you to help you get committed to winning. Not mediocrity, not losing, because there's too much losing going on in our country right now. There's too much losing, and it's time to start winning. So until next time, everybody, 1, 2, 3, let's get it.
This is thepodcastfactory.com.